Hello everyone. So today I'm going to be talking about the first movie that I watched, which was the online platform streaming movie. So the movie that I watched was World War Z, and it's directed by Mark Foster, and I watched it on Netflix. Some of the other movies that Mark Foster has directed as well are Finding Neverland, The Runner, and A Man Called Odo. He also directed Christopher Robin. So when I saw this, I was definitely really surprised, or I found it interesting because many of these movies are like different. So like he's like into different stories, so that's interesting. Um, so the movie was basically about it was like a apocalyptic movie. So it's basically about a family and a man who's the main character, who's played by Brad Pitt, and so he's in the UN. So him and his family are about to like go on a flight, and then they're like in the road and on the way to to the airport, and then they see all this traffic, and then that's when kind of the first outbreak starts, and then it goes from there on to him trying to find a cure. He doesn't end up finding a cure, but then he does come to the realization throughout the movie that if people are to inject themselves with a disease that is curable, they will be able to not get attacked by the zombies because they don't want to bite somebody that is already sick, which was kind of really interesting because I was expecting them to find a cure. So that's enough about the movie. So I don't want to go into too much detail there. So let me start talking more about how where I watched it. So I watched this film just now actually. I was waiting for my other class to start, which is supposed to start at 6. So I just wanted to watch this movie for this assignment, and I did watch it in a study room, as you can see. Very quiet, very peaceful vibes in here, and I was able to like just peacefully watch this movie. And it was I watched it on my laptop, which is I believe it's 24 inches. And it was actually I do really like streaming like movies and TV shows on this laptop, so I found it really like comfortable for me to watch it on here. And it again the streaming service was Netflix, which is my favorite. I did watch this movie alone because I was the only one out of my friends that had this break. So I just watched it alone. And while watching the movie, I did get distracted a couple of times. I was looking at my phone and stuff. However, I do want to say that the plot and the movie was so like full of action and like jam packed with like all these details that I didn't want to miss. So I found myself going back to see what exactly happened. So that's one of the things that I like about streaming online, because then you can like go back and see like what you missed. And how does this movie make me feel? The ending, it's really optimistic because the main character, who's played by Brad Pitt, he does end up finding kind of a cure. Not exactly a cure, but he does figure out how he can stop people from kind of like getting bitten by the zombies. So that was really optimistic because then they distribute the pathogen all throughout the world. And people are injecting themselves with that, and it is curable. So that was definitely something that stuck with me. Even now, like I'm still thinking about how it was so it had like a happy ending, even though the movie started very dark. um so one thing I did notice was how it was different from many of the post-apocalyptic movies or shows that I've watched. It was kind of like more modern. They put their own twist on it, and the lighting that they had was gloomy, and it kind of like really set the tone for everything. Did I like the movie? Yes, I did like the movie. Could it have been better? Yes, I feel like there could have been like more to the story. They could have added more detail on how it first started, and they could have like definitely went into more detail. However, like I think it was a good movie, and I would definitely recommend it to some of my friends and family as well. So, now more importantly, what did I notice in the film that I learned in film studies? And how would I connect it from what I learned in film studies? Would be definitely the beginning, the intro, which was it like started off with the you know the director's name and all the actors' names, and the credits were going, and it started with like a news broadcaster like in the background, and they were just showing images of like what's going on in the all around the world, and how there's like so many abandoned places. And they just had the news reporter talking about how this started, and not basically because I did mention that they didn't really explain how it started, but they were talking about how like it's affecting the world and how like deadly this disease is. So that's basically something that I really enjoyed, because we did talk about how in class how that can affect how you view the movies, because it like sets the tone. Also lighting, like I talked about, the lighting in the whole entire movie, I want to say is very, very gloomy and like dark, except for when he goes and finds the cure and he comes back outside. We can see that there's like more light, and the characters are even like dressed in like brighter colors, and it's like overall it's like brighter on your screen, so that like kind of changes the whole vibe of the whole movie. And then also something that we talked about in class was continuity. So continuity, which was something really interesting to me, because there was like multiple shots where there was the zombies on the screen, and they all had like makeup on, obviously, to make them look like zombies, and there was like multiple scenes with them. So I feel like the continuity was that the makeup artists always obviously had to make them seem like exactly the same. So that's kind of like the appreciation that I had for that. Growing up, like I would never have thought of that, but this class, like it made me think that there's more to it. And then certainly, I would like to also talk about how there was like different camera angles as well, which was something that we really talked about in class, and we used them in our own movies too when we made them in the class. But there was this scene where everyone was like scattering and running when the first like outbreak kind of happened, and the camera was like shaky, so you could sense like the tension. So it sort of added the tension, and it made me feel like I was also there with them, scattering and running around. So that's something that added to it as well. And overall, I really enjoyed this streaming online. As I said, I really do prefer it over like watching a movie live, or like watching it in the theaters, because I like to just chill in a quiet space. But I do look forward to going and viewing the movies in the theater with my sister later tomorrow night. So I will be back to speak about that as well. Thank you so much for listening. Hello everyone. So today I'm going to be talking about the second movie which I watched, which was my first in-person movie in Logan Theater. So let's get started on that one. Um, the first question is, what movie did I watch? I watched The Guardians of the Galaxy, which is directed by James Gunn. And he's done a lot of similar movies. Obviously, he's directed all three of the Guardians of the Galaxy films. This is the third Guardians of the Galaxy film, which is the last one. He also directed Suicide Squad, and it's kind of in the same genre, I want to say, but it was still like very different from Guardians of the Galaxy. But yeah, those are some of the movies that he's directed other than Guardians of the Galaxy, such as Peacemaker, Suicide Squad, and Superman Legacy. which is the research that I did after watching this film. So, what the movie was about, I'm just gonna give a brief summary about this, because I don't want to take up too much time for this one. But basically, this movie starts off after like a major death that we had in the second Guardians of the Galaxy film. So it's kind of like backtracking from how everyone in the group is recovering from that, and it does tell the story of how um, the heroes like got together and what kind of makes them similar, but it also like gives each character like a character arc, which I really enjoyed because in the first few movies they were all shown as like laid back, funny characters and stuff, but this movie like gave us more of in-depth analysis of the characters and what makes them kind of outcasts, and how they came together, which I really enjoyed as well. So, like I said, I did watch this movie in the Logan Theater, and I got there. My mom drove me and my sister over there, and it was really interesting because at first I didn't know if I would like it because it like kind of looked small to me from the outside, and it looked different from like all the theaters that I go to. I usually go to AMC. However, when I did go inside, I didn't notice like why Nikki chose this theater for us. It was kind of like right in a different area of Chicago, which I, to be honest, never visited because I tend to stay like, in my little bubble. But I did really enjoy it. It kind of had like an old school like feeling to it, which I really enjoyed. It's kind of like the theaters that you see in the movies from the olden days. So I really did like that. And then how did the movie make me feel? Honestly, as someone that I don't want to say I was into the Guardians of the Galaxy, like, the Guardians of the Galaxy itself. Like, I wasn't like a big fan of it. I remember the first movie came out in like 2014. I did go watch that in the theaters as well. But this movie, it was one of the best Marvel movies that I've seen, I want to say, and it kind of like left me feeling really like like, oh, it's over, even though I wasn't like a fan, just because of the way that they had us attached to the characters this time. Like I said, they built like this relationship with the characters that I didn't know that I would like end up feeling the way that I ended up feeling in the end. And I was like sad that it's like the last film. So yeah, that's kind of like something that, and what really stood out to me was that one of the characters, Rocket, they did give him like more of a backstory. And in the previous movies, like obviously all of the characters were important, but they didn't give him much importance. He was like kind of like just in the he was on the team, but he didn't have like a major like role. I don't want to say like role, but like he didn't have much of like an impact. So like yeah, that's what stood out to me was that they gave him like such a huge character arc. They, explained to us why he was the way he was. So that was something that really stood out to me. It's like they were saving the best for the last. So and I did really like the movie. And it really surprised me. Because when I was going to watch it, I didn't expect that I would like it. I just chose that because it was playing on the day that I was free. So that's why I ended up watching it, and my sister really enjoyed it as well. So I would really recommend that you go and watch it. Even if you're not like a Marvel fan like me, I have seen all the movies, but again, I'm not gonna say I'm a fan. But after that film, I'll say that yeah, I did find an attachment to it, and it's definitely worth watching. So, what did I take away from the film studies class while I was watching this film? Yeah, so there was a couple of things that I noticed. The first one being that, like I mentioned, this movie does stem off of like a major death that happened in the previous film, which was Guardians of the Galaxy 2. So yeah, the movie does start with like sad music. There's like sad like piano music playing in the beginning, and it kind of shows how everyone's like apart after that death and how they're healing from that. And the lighting, especially, is very different from the previous movies because those movies were kind of upbeat, And this one was upbeat after a while, but the beginning of the movie was more like slow paced, more like, dull lighting, and sad music playing, so it kind of set the tone, and it kind of reminded us of what had happened in the previous film. Another thing about it was we did talk in class about how, like, chewing an apple while someone's talking to you, or like, it makes you seem like you're not interested, or you're like disassociated from everything else. And I want to say that Rocket, one of the characters, I did notice in the film that he was shown, like, like not phased by anything that had happened previously. Even when they were like having like their huddles before everything, they showed him, like, eating his, like, nuts, or chewing on something, and he's not really like, into what everyone else is saying. But later on in the film, then we do recognize like why he was like that, and it kind of shows like his backstory on what made him who he is, and what makes him want to kind of like disassociate from everything else that's going on. So yeah, that's not kind of something that I really noticed, something specific that like kind of rang a bell in my head. And then another thing that we did talk about in film studies is that everything in the movie is intentional, like it's not put in there just cause. So yeah, there was a lot of things that were put into the movie intentionally. We did see that there was like these character arcs that would be coming. We did see that, these characters always are known as like outcasts, and that was put in there intentionally. In the first two movies, we were like, oh yeah, they're outcasts because they're different. No, that's not the only reason. They're outcasts because of their stories, and that's something that was put in there intentionally. So I really enjoyed that. Definitely the angles, I want to say, there was a lot of like overhead shots when there was fighting scenes. The camera felt like we were following them when there was fighting scenes, which made the fighting scenes seem more like, real, and it made us feel like we were actually there, and it helped us to understand the, the tenseness of the scene going on. So if I was able to take a prop from the movie, what would it be? I was really thinking about this while I was watching the film in the theater, and I told my sister that, if I could take a prop, I don't know if this is really a prop. I would take Groot. He's like super cute. And his dance moves are super cute, so I don't know if that counts. But if not, then I would probably take the spaceship. It seems really nice to me. I would definitely love to, like, ride a spaceship around. So overall, this was a great film. I really loved going to Logan Theater with my sister to watch it, and it was kind of a bonding experience for us, and we were able to see something new. So thank you. Hello, so now I'm going to be doing a review on the third movie that which I watched, the final one. I did also watch this one at Logan Theater right after I watched Guardians of the Galaxy. It was me and my sister once again, and we did end up watching it very late, so I wouldn't recommend that. But yeah, let's get into the review here. So, Evil Dead Rise is directed by Lee Cronin. And I did some research on some of the other films that he's directed, and it is The Hole in the Ground, The Ghost Train, and Minutes Past Midnight. And he also has directed like some other, like, horror films. So this is kind of like his genre and what he's good at, and I'm not surprised because the film was very gory, and it definitely lived up to the hype of being, like as gory as it gets. And I'm not one for horror films, so it was kind of like a roller coaster for me over there. So, what the movie was about? So yeah, so this movie, as you might know, it's based off of like an older film, and this was like a remake of it, and it's based off of like two sisters that are like getting together. They're reuniting. They have been apart for a long time, due to, like, family issues and stuff like that, and the fact that they just didn't get along. So yeah, it's about them reuniting. However, it does turn into something that they probably didn't expect. And there's like a lot of issues going on because these two sisters are finally meeting after all these years. And Beth like sends her daughters, who is the sister that is already in the apartment, and then the other sister like comes in to like visit her. And so Beth sends her like two daughters to go out and get pizza. And then that's when it all starts, because they come back, and one of their friends, he goes into their like closet, and he finds this book, which is a book of the dead basically. And he does cut his hand a little, and some of his blood falls onto the book. And that's kind of when the evil spirit is awakened. And it was definitely something that I didn't know what I was getting myself into. I didn't know that it was I did know that it was a scary movie, but I didn't know it would be as gory as it was. And maybe if I had known, I might have not watched it, but my sister really loved it, so that's, kind of something that's a plus. So what theater did I watch it in? I did watch it in Logan Theater. I got there again. My mom drove me and my sister there. The audience, it was, I don't know, I expected it to be packed, more packed than it was. Maybe it was like a later showtime. We did go to the showtime that was 11. But yeah, the audience was, it wasn't as packed, but like the people were laughing. There was some scenes that were like supposed to be gory, but like I guess to lighten up the mood, they were laughing. I didn't find it really funny. So yeah, and the theater, it has like a really cozy vibe. Um, Really like old school, different from like theaters that I've been to. It was, bigger than I expected it to be, so that was a plus. I really enjoyed like, the another different experience of going to a theater that I've never been to. So that's definitely something I'll say. And then, how did the movie make me feel? I was really scared, not gonna lie. I don't like things that reference like demons or like, all this like evil stuff, these evil spirits. It kind of really scares me. And I don't know. But it was a really fun experience because I got to go with my sister, and I love spending time with her. We love watching movies. We love watching new movies and getting to see like different genres. So that's okay. And would I recommend this movie? Yeah, definitely if you like horror films and if you like watching like new stuff, I definitely recommend. But if you're not into horror films and all that gory, like bloody stuff, then definitely I wouldn't recommend. So let's talk about what I took away from the film studies class, which was the first reason that I went into Logan Theater. I didn't know that it was like so different from like all these other theaters that I went to, so I really enjoyed that. So first of all, I want to talk about this one scene that's still haunting me. It's like this one scene where the evil, like, the evil spirit gets into Beth, who is the kid's mom, and she goes into the elevator, and she's tangled up with these wires. And the angle, it's like a Dutch angle, and it kind of like escalated the situation more, which is something we talked about in class, because the Dutch angle like gave it more depth. I made it more like eerie. I don't know. It just somehow like it makes it more eerie. And she's like, that's when she's like the first victim, and she's attacked, and she's like, their mother. So she doesn't want to, like, it's like you can see that she's like refraining from it. You can like see it in her eyes, with the close up on her like face, when she's first getting possessed, and she's like trying to reach out to her kids. And then you can see like how her kids, like, they know it's their mom, but they're like so scared because it looks like, she just looks so much different. Like she has like this like, blood coming out of her like face. There's like cuts and stuff. Her hair is like all like, not normal, not human like anymore. And so yeah, so like the close-ups definitely made it big because they showed the emotion. I feel like especially with a horror film, like you need these sorts of like close-ups in order to add the drama and the feeling into it, which I really enjoyed. So, and then another thing that I really noticed was again putting things into the movie intentionally, because we are referenced to the book like a couple of times, the Book of the Dead, but uh, like it's not like shown how how big of an impact it will end up having. So yeah, there's a parts of the movie where in the beginning where we do see the dead, the Book of the Dead, but we finally get to know towards the end that this was all connected to the Book of the Dead. So yeah, that kind of like shows how they intentionally kept on showing that book. There was no like they weren't just showing it just cause. So that's something that really, really helped. Again, there was this scene where Beth was like chewing on like glass, like a wine glass, and her daughter like walks in and she just sees that. And again, like we see this music, this eerie music, very eerie. It's like when Beth's daughter finally realizes that like her mom is not there anymore, like she's not her mom anymore. So that's kind of like something that is a realization. And then again, towards the end of the movie, it's like the beginning of the movie starts like normal day-to-day life, and then that's how they ended it. So kind of like starting it and ending it in the same way, which is something we also talked about in the movie. So yeah, that's what stood out to me from film studies, and it was definitely a phenomenal experience. So if I had to take a prop from the movie, what would you pick? This is a hard one because this movie left me traumatized, but I would, I don't know. As long as it's not possessed, probably the Book of the Dead. It was kind of like a magical object in the movie. So yeah, maybe that. As long as it's just a prop and it's not possessed, because I don't want to get myself into that drama at all. So yeah, it was definitely a great experience. Thank you so much for watching. Hello, so this is my final my final video for this trilogy assignment, which is me talking about film studies and how it changed my view and how I liked the class. So yeah, definitely I did love the class. I learned a lot from the class about movies. It gave me more respect for movies and filmmakers and directors as well, because when we were filming, especially when we filmed our second film, which was like the 13 to 14 minute long video movie. I do remember how my group and I were like wondering how these directors do it, because we were only doing a 14-minute long movie, but they do movies that are like an hour, 2 hour long. So that's something that really stuck out to me. I was like, this is hard work. It's not something that comes easily at all. What stuck out to me? A lot of things. Definitely, I didn't know that there's not as many women directors in the industry. That's something that stuck out to me. Um, and something that I learned, I really enjoyed this chamber piece. I really enjoyed like, the different angles. I really enjoyed learning about like the different angles and how we can use them to like give depth to the story and kind of like make the story even better for us to watch. Because if we just filmed it, like again, I remember Nikki, you did talk about in class how if we just put the camera in one spot and just talk and stuff, it wouldn't be fun. We would get bored really quickly. So yeah, it does take a lot of different takes in order to put a movie together. The different shots make it worthwhile. So that's something that really stuck out to me. I really did enjoy learning about that. If I could make any changes to the class, no, I don't. I wouldn't make any changes to the class. I really loved the class. I really loved all the movies that we had gotten to watch. And I think every single movie was put in there intentionally. It did teach us a lot. My favorite movie was probably 12 Angry Men. Again, I really love the idea of a chamber piece, and like making a movie in one like room. It gives us more like, I don't know. It gives us I would have thought that it doesn't give us the time for character development or having like a character arc, but it does. And in some ways, I feel like it gives us more because we're like in one room and for like a long period of time, like 1 hour to 2 hour. I guess that's how like 12 Angry Men was, how long it was. And it gave us like a lot of time to get to learn the different characters and where they're coming from. So that's something I really liked. Overall, I really enjoyed this film, and I really enjoyed taking it with Nikki. It was a really different experience, something that I'll remember forever. So thank you so much, Nikki. Have a great day.